You ever see someone torch their entire life over a tractor? I mean, I'd seen dumb things in my 20 years wearing a badge, but that night in Cedar Crest Estate, standing on my own stamped concrete with fire hoses snaking through the landscaping and half the neighborhood filming with their phones, I realized I was watching the HOA president of our little slice of suburbia commit the dumbest crime of her life, and I'd seen some real contenders. Picture this, my old green John Deere, not much to look at, but all mine sitting in the side yard with smoke still curling up from its blackened frame. Water's dripping off the metal, popping and hissing like a bad 4th of July sparkler. At the curb, Beverly Stanfield, the president, queen bee, and self-appointed savior of Cedar Crest, stood there in her Live Laugh HOA t-shirt, arms crossed so tight you'd think she was hugging herself to keep from falling apart. She tried to sound official, projecting for all the cameras. This is exactly why we have to enforce standards that tractor was a hazard. We've been warning him for months. She wasn't looking at me, though she was looking past me at the audience, trying to seem outraged and not scared half to death. I just kept my jaw tight and my hat pulled down, watching the last wisps of smoke fade into the dark. The county fire marshal strolled over, wiping his hands. "Definitely arson," he muttered like he was talking about bad weather. "Accelerant all over the seat and wheel wells. We'll loop in the sheriff's office." Then he turned and, well, here's the kicker, looked straight at me. "Sheriff, you want this one or you want me to send it straight to state?" And just like that, every neighbor holding up a phone went dead quiet. You could hear a bug blink. Beverly spun around so fast her sunglasses nearly fell off. "Sheriff?" She squeaked it, honest to God. I finally looked up, reached into my jacket, pulled out my old leather wallet, flipped it open. Gold Star photo, the works. Sheriff Caleb, Roar Ridge County. It's a hell of a thing when people realize the guy they've been harassing for months is actually the top lawman in the county. Beverly's mouth opened and closed, fish on a dock. "You're the sheriff." I nodded once. "And you," I said real quiet, "are standing about 10 feet from my burned-out tractor on camera after sending me 3 emails saying you'd take care of the problem yourself." Someone in the crowd whispered, "Oh, she is so screwed." Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a sec, because the whole mess started long before that tractor went up in flames. I didn't move to Cedar Crest because I loved HOAs. Nobody with a working brain does. I moved there because the property came with 5 acres, an old barn that needed some loving, and a beat-up tractor that still ran if you talked to it nice. After 20 years in law enforcement, I was looking for something to fix that didn't have a criminal record. The place used to be a family farm till some developer split it into Phase 1 luxury homes and Phase 2 slightly less luxury homes. My parcel was a weird remnant on the edge, technically inside the subdivision, but with a deed so clear even a lawyer couldn't mess it up, not subject to HOA or common interest community restrictions. I read that clause 5 times before I signed. Call it professional paranoia. But here comes Beverly Stanfield, late 40s. Bob haircut, so sharp you could shave with it. Sunglasses glued to her head, frown lines you could park a bike in. HOA president, social committee chair, and I swear the self-declared sheriff of suburban aesthetics. She took one look at my place. On one side, beige palaces with matching mailboxes and magazine-perfect shrubs. On my side, gray farmhouse, real barn tractor parked in gravel. Wasn't a junkyard, wasn't brochure-ready either. And Beverly had never met a clause she couldn't ignore if it didn't fit her Pinterest board. First time she introduced herself, she walked right past my outstretched hand, pointed at my barn, like it owed her money, and said, "So you must be our non-compliant newcomer." "Afternoon. Name's Caleb." "I'm Beverly," she said, pausing for applause. "I run the HOA." "Yeah, I saw your emails. Appreciate the invite." "I'm not in it." Her smile twitched, never touched her eyes. "Every homeowner is part of Cedar Crest, Mr. Roar. Actually, my deed says otherwise. I held up my copy, not subject to HOA. She read it twice. Her smile didn't crack, but her eyes did. Well, we'll see what the board says about that. Spoiler, the board can't overrule a recorded deed. But Beverly liked to play pretend. That's when the pettiness started. First, a friendly notice on my door tractor visible from street violation of vehicle storage. I wrote "not an HOA" across it, stuck it in her mailbox. Next, a mass email. Some residents are choosing not to participate in our community standards with a blurry, zoomed-in photo of my tractor, like it was the Loch Ness Monster. Then a welcome packet shoved under my door with paint swatches and a snippy note about joining the community. I ignored all of it. I waved at neighbors, helped one guy jump his car, rescued a stray trash can. Just never played along with Beverly's fantasy that she had any authority over my land. She cranked it up a notch, started hosting HOA walkthroughs, which meant standing at my property line, sighing at my barn, and jotting dramatic notes. I pointed to the property marker. Everything on this side, sheriff's business, not HOA. She glared at that marker like it had called her a slur. Then came the rumors. He's running a business out of that barn. He's got farm animals planned. He's storing unregistered equipment. It would have been funny if it stayed rumors. It didn't. One afternoon, I found a bright orange paper taped to my front door. Final notice of enforcement action. Remove tractor within 72 hours, or HOA will proceed with abatement at owner's expense. I stared at it a long time. Called Beverly. "Hi, this is Caleb Rohr." "Oh. Hello, Mr. Rohr. Have you decided to comply? Just recording for my files that you delivered an enforcement notice to a property not under your jurisdiction. You can't opt out of the community," she snapped. "Ma'am, the county clerk's office seems to think I did." She huffed. "We can't have an eyesore tractor when we're trying to maintain property values." "If you won't act, the HOA will, Beverly," I said, and my voice went cold. "You step foot on my property to abate anything, it stops being an HOA issue and starts being criminal trespass." I hung up. Now you'd think that'd be the end. You'd be wrong. 2 weeks later, I was out of town for a law enforcement conference. Left Deputy Harris to cover the county and my neighbor Mike to keep an eye on the place. Beverly saw my truck gone more than 24 hours and figured that was her green light. Security camera footage later pulled by forensics told the story 10:12 p.m. Beverly's silver SUV parks 2 houses down. 10:19, she walks down the sidewalk in yoga pants and a hoodie carrying a gas can like it's a potluck dish. 10:23, she slips through the hedge onto my side yard. 10:24, she douses my tractor like she's watering a cursed garden. 10:25, flick of a lighter, orange blossoms in the dark. 10:26, flames climb reflected in her giant glasses. She stands there too long watching, then bolts. 31. Mike sees the glow, calls 911. By the time the fire crew arrives, Barnes' fine grass is singed, tractor's a steel skeleton. Fire captain logged it. As arson passed it up the chain. I got the call. At my hotel, drove back that night, badge on the dash, anger coiled tight as a rattler. By sunrise, my place was a crime scene, cones, tape, investigators. The fire marshal walked me through the evidence. That was no accident. We've got pour patterns, clear point of origin, and you've got cameras, right? Oh, I've got cameras. Pulled up the footage, scrubbed to 10:12 p.m. Hit play. When Beverly's face popped up under that hoodie, the fire marshal let out a low whistle. "Please tell me that's not your HOA lady." "That I said is my HOA lady." He shook his head. "Well, lucky for you, the sheriff in this county really hates arson." "Yeah," I said, "he really does." Officially, I couldn't run the case, conflict of interest and all. Unofficially, there was nothing stopping me from tying it up in a pretty bow. I called in the State Bureau of Investigation, handed over the camera footage. The will abated ourselves, emails, every petty HOA violation notice, and a long list of neighbors willing to testify that Beverly had been obsessed with my tractor for months. The SBI agent reviewing the file raised an eyebrow. "This is thorough. Professional habit," I told him. While the state took the lead, I protected the scene, reassured neighbors, and ignored Beverly's next email. "We're so sorry about the fire, Caleb. Such a tragedy. We warned you about that unsafe tractor. Let us know if the HOA can help." I forwarded it to the SBI with a little eyes emoji for flavor. 4 days later, the state agents asked me to join them for a follow-up at Beverly's place. I rode shotgun hat low. We walked up in a little V formation. Ring camera caught the whole thing. Beverly opens the door at 2 p.m. with a glass of white wine and a face full of fake concern. "Oh, officers, is this about that awful fire at the sheriff's place? I've been so worried." The lead agent said, "We're investigating an arson. Mind if we ask a few questions?" Of course, anything to help. I've been saying for months that tractor was a hazard. The agent held up a tablet, tapped the screen, security footage clear as day. Gas can. Hoodie. Lighter. Fire. Her face. The blood drained from Beverly so fast I thought she might faint. That could be anybody," she stammered. Agent paused the video right on her face. "Ma'am, it's you." I finally spoke real soft. "Beverly, you knew I was law enforcement. Never crossed your mind I might have better cameras than a Ring doorbell?" Her eyes snapped to me, horror dawning. You're the sheriff. I thought you were just county sheriff. And this is arson on occupied property with structures nearby." She swayed. "But I was just trying to enforce standards," she whispered. The agent slipped out a pair of cuffs. "Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent." Beverly's arrest hit the subdivision like a tornado made of karma. Her mugshot was in the local paper the next morning. HOA president charged with felony arson in tractor fire. The article used phrases like pattern of harassment, obsessive enforcement, and extensive email correspondence referencing getting rid of the tractor one way or another. Turns out, Beverly wasn't good at not putting crimes in writing. The state built a pretty little case motive, months of hostile emails and threats, means footage of her with a gas can and lighter, opportunity, her own time-stamped cameo on camera, and consciousness of guilt. That weird. "We warned you about that unsafe tractor" email right after the fire. Her attorney tried to spin it, just concern gone too far. The prosecutor called it what it was, a power trip gone criminal. In the end, Beverly took a plea deal. Guilty to a reduced arson charge, felony property damage, restitution for the tractor probation community service, and a record that'll follow her every job interview till the day she dies. When the judge read the sentence, Beverly stood there in her beige pantsuit, pale as the paper hands, trembling. She opened her mouth like she wanted to argue, to explain it all away, to make anyone see her side, but nothing came out. So let me ask you, do you think Beverly learned her lesson? Or is there always going to be another Rent-A-Karen ready to burn down the world to keep it matching her front yard? Tell me what you'd have done in my boots, comment below. And if you've ever dealt with a power-hungry HOA, share your war story. Hit subscribe if you want to see more folks get the justice they deserve, because around here, karma comes with sirens and a gold star.